Hey guys, what's up? In today's video we'll see the 10 rarest JRPGs nowadays, as in the most expensive and pricey on the market, but only games that got a North American release. Also, no collector's editions or special editions like the infamous Pokemon box, which goes over 4 grand nowadays. And with that clarified, let's begin! Number 10, the Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters on PS4. I cannot believe a PlayStation 4 game made it to this list. And all because Square Enix sold this version themselves in a very limited print run. So of course scalpers took advantage of that, bought most copies and started reselling them a few months ago for ridiculous prices. The Switch version is up there too, but nowhere close to this North American PS4 release. Even the PAL version is heading to the same numbers. The very rare copies of this collection sold for about $450 on May and $750 a few days ago as of the making of this video. I've seen them recently on eBay for about $500, so I guess that's the current price today. Forget about the anniversary editions, they already go for thousands of dollars on eBay. My advice? Get the Switch version, especially the one on PlayAsia, which is in English, and forget about what I call nowadays as the Scalpers edition. Don't feed these greedy ass vendors out there, please, don't be stupid. Number 9, The Twisted Tales of Spike McFang. It'll surprise you to know that there isn't a single PlayStation 1 RPG in the video. Though I think the first Persona, the current holy grail of PS1 JRPGs, deserves a mention, going for $400 to $450 nowadays. SNES JRPGs are another story though. They're all starting to get ridiculous, even loose. This little action RPG is rather obscure, where you control Spike in a funny comedy. It's not a bad game, but it isn't great either. However mediocre it is though, completing box copies of it can go for $500 to $550, depending on their condition. Loose copies of it sell for about $250, so you see, it's still worrisome. This game isn't worth collecting in my opinion. Like I said, it's just a very forgettable game that's just okay, with some annoying spikes and outdated controls. Not worth even loose. Number 8, Demikids Dark Version. A few years ago, Game Boy Advance RPGs weren't this expensive, with the exception of Pokemon Emerald, which was already lurking around insane prices complete in box. This Dark Edition though is more expensive. It's been selling lately for $550 to $600 CIB, price charting says it's $567. Let me remind you that's the approximate based on all the sales of this year. You might want to go loose with this one. Copies of it can still be found for $100 to $130, depending on their condition. If it looks like an SMT Pokemon clone for kids, it's because it is. I find it quite ironic that the Megami Tensei series started long before the Pokemon franchise. Some might say it even influenced it. So to see there was a time when Atlus will rip off Pokemon with dark and light versions of their Mega 10 universe is very funny. Anyway, this is a good game, just not that good. Number 7, Car Battler Joe. Naturally, this game will follow. It's been the holy grail of GBA JRPGs since as long as I can remember. Complete in box, I found a few copies on eBay for nearly $570, nearing the $600 range. Unlike Demikids with loose copies going for about $120, Joe here sells loose for about $200 to $250. Yikes! And trust me when I say this is also one of the most forgettable games you'll play in your life. It's mediocre at best, a lame attempt to mix RPG with car racing, where you drive around shooting enemies with questionable controls. It's repetitive as hell, and while not a bad game, I do not recommend it. Number 6, Pokemon Crystal. I guess this one should tie with the previous game since they go for about the same price. Problem is, finding good condition complete in-box copies of it is quite hard. Loose, you'll find it anywhere for about $130 depending on the condition. Maybe less if you're lucky, but CIB? It's gonna be a challenge I believe you shouldn't take on. It's not worth it, even if you're a die-hard Pokemon fan. Unless you're rich, why would you pay $575 for it, or more? Stick to the loose card in my opinion, and by the way, other Pokemon games on almost any portable system are starting to go up there, especially the mainline titles, so be warned if you are a Pokemon collector. Number 5, Chrono Trigger. Well, it just had to be here, didn't it? The most beloved Super Nintendo JRPG ever made still holds a blasphemous price even today, and it will probably continue to rise for days to come. Imagine it getting a remake one day, maybe in HD 2D. Wouldn't that be awesome? Not as awesome as scalpers buying copies of this original SNES version to destroy the market like they always do. Complete in box sells for about $650 in good condition. Even not so good condition copies are still on a similar range. Want it loose? Be ready to pay at least $200 for it, especially if you want a good looking copy of it. Chrono Trigger is a great game, but like any other game in this list, it's definitely not worth its price. Square Enix, give us a remake, damn it! Number 4, Magic Knight Rarest. I'm surprised very few Sega Saturn RPGs made it to the list. Most go for about $250 complete in box nowadays. Not a single Sega CD RPG either. Pop Full Mail though almost made it with its $500 to $550 range, but it's debatable whether it's really an RPG or not. Magic Knight freaking Rarest is without a doubt an action RPG, top-down view, and it's decent. Better than Spike McFang, that's for sure, but it's not worth the $700 it goes for nowadays. You can find copies around that price if they're complete in box in the market, maybe even more if you pay a scalper, something I've been advising you against the entire video. Anyway, it's interesting to see this game is still expensive as hell since many years ago. The last Sega Saturn video game ever to be localized outside of Japan. Number 3, Panzer Dragoon Saga. So as always, and as it has been for the past 25 years, this game surpasses the magical ladies from before in price. It's always been the holy grail JRPG on the Saturn, and for the longest time, the holy grail of JRPGs in general! But it's only number 3! Huh, I wonder what's waiting for us within the next 2 places. Panzer Dragoon Saga is a spin-off of the on-rail shooters that have been getting some more modern love recently. Will this one get it one day? Cause $900 for a complete in-box copy sounds preposterous, and that's if you're lucky, cause it usually sells for over $1,000 depending on its condition. PAL versions can even reach the $700 range. Weird, since they're usually much cheaper than their NTSC counterparts, but hey, $300 is still $300, right? Whatever the case, this is such a unique game that it's hard to describe, but it's pretty damn solid. Unfortunately, emulation is the best way to experience that uniqueness nowadays. Number 2, Crusader of Senti. When a loose copy of a game alone surpasses the price of the first RPGs that opened this list, you know a complete in-box copy will be beyond all reason. This action RPG inspired by A Link to the Past got so rare and expensive because very few copies made it overseas. Plus, it had a different name in every region, even in Japan, so it got even more confusing. It's a really cool game and I do recommend it. I think they put it on the Switch Online Genesis emulator recently, unless you have $1,500 in your wallet ready to be spent on a CIB copy of this game alone. If you don't, maybe narrow it down to just $500 for a loose cartridge. Or even better, don't buy either, forget about it and emulate it just like everybody else. Number 1. EarthBound. This is it, the true holy grail of JRPGs. It's kind of a contradiction since I said at the beginning there wouldn't be any special editions, but this is the only edition ever to exist of this game. Even if it's missing something inside that big box, the price still surpasses the $1,000 range. Unless you want to go at it loose, which is cheaper than Crusader of Senti, loose is gonna cost you around $300. Still ridiculous, but whatever. Complete in box, or even pseudo-complete in box, it doesn't change much. Well, according to price charting, $1,760 but I've seen it go for exactly $2,000. eBay, be my witness. Nasty, man. That's nasty. I'm not a fan of this game. Maybe I need to give it a second chance one day. You bet your poor and sorry ass if I do, it'll be through emulation or at least the Switch Online. You should honestly do the same and forget about this highway robbery price. So those are currently the 10 holy grails in the JRPG universe, released in North America. Yeah, there are some Japanese exclusives that are far more expensive than most in this video. Anyway, thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time!